Hi, welcome to Lachlan Likes a Thing, a show where I take a thing and see whether or not I like it. Now the thing we're looking at in this video is the Beyerdynamic Custom One Pro, which is a full-sized headphone that Beyerdynamic describes as an interactive premium headphone on the box. Now we'll get into what makes this headphone custom and interactive in a moment, but first things first, this headphone retails for a retail recommended price of $299. You can also get it on Amazon for about $229 nowadays. I got my pair secondhand from the audio forum headfi.org for about $150. Now this is definitely a popular model for Beyerdynamic, and I think since it's released, Beyerdynamic has actually announced several new models that are going to be based on this design. And the reason why this headphone is quite popular, I think, is because it has several elements that are customizable, hence its name. So this headphone comes in several different colors. This faceplate here can actually be changed out for other colors and designs, and you can even put your own into this area here. The headband cushion can be removed and replaced with other colors. And also, most importantly, the Beyerdynamic Custom One Pro has this adjustable bass port mechanism here, which lets you kind of tailor the amount of bass you get out of this headphone to your individual taste. So it's definitely a headphone that's generated a lot of interest, and I've been asked several times to review it. This video is going to focus on the build quality and the comfort of the Custom One Pro, as well as the sound quality. And I'm going to be making a lot of comparisons to the Audio Technica ATH M50, which is a headphone that the Custom One Pro is frequently compared to. The Custom One Pro, like all of Beyerdynamic's higher-end headphones, is made in Germany, and as you can see, it shares a similar sort of design with the higher-end headphones from Beyer, like the DT880. The Custom One Pro is definitely a headphone that inspires confidence with its build quality. So it's got a very practical, well put together design. We have the headband elements, which are made of metal and they feel very solid, very dependable. We have ear cups, which are made of plastic, but it's high quality plastic with good fit and finish. So everything about this headphone does feel like it will last for a long time. And even though this is a second-hand pair, it basically feels like new to me. One thing is that with this headphone, even if any of the parts do break, it has screws all over this headphone. So I think you can basically disassemble this headphone and replace almost any part yourself once you order the replacement from the Beyerdynamic website. So it's very much like headphones like the Sennheiser HD25 in that way. Now the cable on the Custom One Pro is a 1.5 meter cable, and that makes it sort of suitable for portable devices. We have quite a nice strain relief on the plug end here. The cable itself is supple, it's thick and high quality plastics. On the ear cup end, we have a detachable cable terminal, so that's a plus, and Beyerdynamic does make some attachments that go with the Custom One Pro, so you can use it as a headset for your computer microphone and that kind of thing, which is really neat. As far as ergonomics for the Custom One Pro, you can see that the ear pads are quite large, and so you'll definitely get an around ear fit with this headphone for most ears, I guess. The ear pads are very soft and made of this synthetic leather material, and it's decently breathable. It's quite nice. The headband cushion is again quite soft. So on the head, the Custom One Pro is definitely a more comfortable headphone than average, and I do really like that element of it, especially compared to the M50, which is not quite as comfortable for long-term use. Now, the Custom One Pro does have a 1.5 meter cable, which does kind of suggest that you could use it with a portable device. But as you can see, it's not exactly a subtle looking headphone. It's very large, and frankly I think it looks a bit goofy on the head. You might want to give it a try yourself, I guess. And with the bass ports, it doesn't have the best in terms of noise isolation. In terms of sound, as I mentioned before, the Custom One Pro lets you adjust the amount of bass by this sliding variable port mechanism that has 4 positions. There's no electronics, you just adjust the number of ports and thereby increase or decrease air damping on the driver. So number 1, with all bass ports closed, it sounds completely anemic, and it sounds like someone has just removed all the lower frequencies, and it sounds you know, lifeless, and I don't think anyone would really enjoy that sound unless you really, really hated bass. In position number 4, it's the complete reverse. It's just incredibly overbearing in terms of bass. It's all drony in one note. Position number 2 and number 3 actually sound somewhat similar, and basically 3 just has a bit more bass than number 2. And with number 2 and number 3, you get a sound which is it's somewhat on the warmer side of neutral. It's quite easygoing. It's a relatively flat sounding headphone. The treble is rolled off and everything sounds quite smooth. So if you were using this as a monitoring headphone, I do feel like at times the details don't quite stand out as much. It has a relatively wide soundstage, and overall it has a kind of easygoing all-round sound to it, though it's definitely not going to be considered an aggressive sounding headphone. Now, compared with the Audio-Technica M50, which is a comparison that I often see made between the two headphones, the M50 has a sound which is definitely more forward in the treble and the vocals, so you get a better sense of detail coming out from female vocals and from treble cymbal hits and that kind of thing than the Custom One Pro. And the Custom One Pro is also, I feel, somewhat more laid back in the bass compared to the M50, which has a bit more of a punch in certain frequencies. In terms of sub-bass frequencies, though, I think the Custom One Pro is about as tight as the M50. Now, I personally prefer the sound of the M50 more. I think it's a little more exciting. You definitely get a better sense of detail, so even for monitoring, I kind of prefer the M50. So if I had to choose between the M50 and the Custom One Pro for kind of home desktop studio monitoring use, here's how I'd choose. The M50 is a cheaper headphone, and I personally do kind of prefer the more lively, aggressive sound to it. So that would be my pick in terms of sound. But if you're looking at the overall package, the Custom One Pro is definitely the more comfortable of the two headphones. It does have all these little nice features in terms of the customization of the look and the sound of the headphone, though I personally don't put much stock in that. But where it really comes down to it is that the Custom One Pro is a more comfortable headphone for longer periods of use. So if that's really important to you, I think this is perhaps the better choice. Other than that, though, I'd be very happy to kind of recommend both of these headphones. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Please click the like button if it's helped you. You can talk to me on Facebook at facebook.com/LachlanLikesAthing or on Twitter at LachLikesAthing. I'm looking forward to your comments. Thanks to all my regular subscribers, and happy listening.